what has been lacking in this country is also the aspect of responsibility. Several times we've seen leaders accuse each other. Even when you are aware, aspiring for higher office, you know the challenges that the country is facing. When you are given the opportunity to start lamenting about those problems and pointing fingers, that's not what we want to see. We want to see leaders who are responsible. When we give us the opportunity, we have to say we are aware of the many challenges that this country is facing, and we are going to take them on. We are going to make them our own. Once we make them our own, then we are able to resolve them and even be able to deliver much more progress. But if we refuse to take those challenges and problems and start pointing at the previous regime, then we've already failed. So that's what the Democratic Union is all about. Then in terms of myself, Ackim Anthony Jobvu, in terms of political career-wise, I'm a flight engineer. I used to be in the Air Force. I had the privilege to work on the presidential aircraft. I used to sign the plane when the president wants to fly. I certify it that it's fit to carry the president.
That was a tough job.
Yes, it was a very tough job. But one thing that I liked about my career, I've got a military background and also working in the aviation sector, is the issue of discipline. With us in the military, first of all, we prioritize the country's interest before self-interest. Then coupled with the aviation industry, it's full of discipline. You have to be a disciplined person for you to be able to sign a machine. Imagine signing an aircraft that carries 380 people. You know what you're committing yourself to. So you have to be responsible, you have to be disciplined. Why am I talking about discipline? Part of the reason why this country has not developed is lack of discipline. There's lack of discipline, I think, from the leaders, even the citizenry itself. We need that attitude change for us to see discipline as a country. So I'm a flight engineer, then I'm also a fellow of SCCA. I'm a chartered accountant. I'm also an economist. I'm a global investment analyst, as well as an insurance practitioner. So I love to assess risk. Most of the times, if you hear the way I'll be talking about certain things, I also assess risk in opportunities to say, what is the risk here? Sometimes I go further from the speech or aims to understand the agenda behind every transaction and everything that we want to do. So you hear much more of that. And then after I left the Air Force, I was working in the insurance industry, where I was a finance manager for Mayfair Insurance Company. I became the company secretary. Then again, I had an opportunity to be the chief financial officer of the world's leading insurance broking company, Marsh. Then I was also a chairperson of the Alexander Forbes Pension Fund. I left my former employment in February this year to concentrate on politics.
And that leads me to my next question, sir. I mean, you have such a rich CV and other what I would say opportunities away from politics that could still, make you expel into higher levels. Why did you join politics, and why at such a high level? Usually most people would like to enter at the lower levels and rise through the ranks.
I believe the
I'm sure from a risk assessment background, you must have assessed the risk, but why at such a high level?
For me, politics is a calling. It's not a business or employment opportunity, no. For me, it's a calling, responding to a call. I'm offering myself for service to the country. And why enter at high level? You see, the vision that I have is for the country, not really for a constituency or for a ward. No, it's for a country. I'm sure you hear when we begin to talk about our manifesto. So that's why we have to enter at the level of president, not member of parliament. I was laughing with one of my colleagues to say there was a time I thought I could maybe stand as a member of parliament, I think in 2021. I didn't have a manifesto to tell the people at the constituency. But now where I've opted to stand at the presidential level, I've got a lot to tell the Zambians. I'm able to explain the vision that I have. So that clearly speaks to what God, I think, has put me in, to be at that higher level, not at that lower level where people usually think you should start. And then we've also got lessons. We've seen quite a number of presidents who wanted to go through the whole process, through the steps to be ward, to be MP. Others have died on the seat because at the time they are supposed to offer that service when Zambians are expectant. They are tired, they're exhausted. I must tell you that politics is exhausting. It's not an easy thing. For me, I've given myself, I think, 15 years to be in politics. After that, I think I have to leave the platform.
Interesting.
And why do I say 15 years? I want when I'm active, because when I'm able to think fast, when I'm energetic, I need need to contribute.
Yeah.
There's no point for me to want to cling to power when I'm order, when I can't contribute positively.
Yeah.
I want to be honest from the onset that what we are building as Democratic Union is a vehicle, a platform of honesty and integrity.
Yeah.
We don't want deception. I know most of the times people don't love honest people, don't love people who are truthful, but this is who we are, this is what I am, and this is what I'm bringing to the table.
Yeah.
For me, I'm very disappointed with the fact that if you look at Zambia, in 1964 when we got independence, Zambia's GDP per capita was better off than that of China. But today it's a laughable matter to compare Zambia and China. Ackim, how can you compare Zambia and China? But we can compare from where we are coming from.
Yeah.
I believe we need to do a lot of work in this country. If you talk about issues, I know we are going to talk about constitution amendment, but I want to point out one thing.
Why should Zambians have faith in you, based on what you've said so far? And I'm coming from a point where even some, there's been opinions that some elders have that the country is not ready for a young president. And, you know, they would prefer someone with a pedigree, like we've said, someone maybe starts and has the experience from the grassroots and grow through the ranks. But at this point, why should Zambians have faith in you?
Okay, first of all, I'm standing on a platform of honesty and integrity.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I think that is very key and very important. And from a background of discipline, my military and aviation professional, I think I'm well-natured to lead this country.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that the Zambians should have hope in. And I have so much hope in this country. The Zambians, I think, have never seen the great potential that this country has. But as for me, I believe in the potential and the promise that this country holds. If you look at Yowela, a country that was able to help these countries around us attain independence. How powerful are we? We are so powerful. If you look at the activity in the recent past, the few weeks that I think that have gone, you see major international faces coming into this country. That tells you a lot. But as a wise person, you must be alert to say what is happening now that we've got these faces coming into the country. What is it that they have seen? Already the challenge that we have, I think for me, why should we trust a young leader? The challenges that we are facing today are supposed to be resolved by me, not HH, not our fathers. That's why our fathers are struggling to resolve, because these challenges are not for them to resolve. It's our generation that needs to resolve them. We are in the era of AI. They will not understand the challenges that we are facing right now. It's us to resolve them. You and you, Yoel, and myself are the ones to resolve them. That's why they are struggling to resolve them, and all that they do is always complain, push blame to others. So the Zambia is ready for young leadership because I think I've gathered enough experience, both from the public and the private sector. And I think I'm equal to the task. When you look at, you go out of Zambia there, you're looking at a lot of countries have young leaders right now, and we've seen other young leaders do great things, such that I think we are all beginning to change the way we reason. In the past, we used to say 5 years is not enough for a leader to make a good difference in terms of development. But the young leaders demonstrated that 2 to 3 years is enough for somebody to demonstrate, if they love their country, that they're able to bring about development. So Zambia's challenges will not be resolved by our fathers. They need to be resolved by us, who understand the challenges that we are facing. So yes, Zambia is ready to have a young leader. And I must tell you, Yoela, that the company that I was working for, its GDP is equal to Zambia. So if I was working for such a country, for such a multinational company, they trusted me with such a huge responsibility. I believe Zambia should be able also to trust me.
But the argument would be you can't compare, no matter how the GDP is similarities to Zambia, you can't compare running that company and running a country.
So you see,
different aspects, social aspects and economic aspects.
Okay, so I think we incline so much talking about experience.
Yeah.
The leaders that have brought about serious development in this country never had experience. We talk about KK, he never had experience. We talk about FDJ, he never had experience.
Yeah.
I think those people have actually brought about serious change that we're able to point out. And also when you are leading a country, I think leadership is more about managing a relationship, managing friendships with the people and the communities.
Yeah.
I think that is one aspect that has also been lacking with the UPND. If you recall during the time of Levi Mwanawasa, who helped Levi Mwanawasa to get that debt relief? It is the church, the Catholic Church. So looking at, there are several prayers that help, players or partners that help in managing or governing the country.
Yeah.
But what we need is a leader who's got a vision, and above all, a leader who loves his country. If we can get a leader who loves his country, a leader who is patriotic, I believe we have so much, I think, to see in terms of development and transformation of this country.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what is really important. It's not really about experience. Like I've pointed out, KK never had experience, FDJ never had experience, but we could see the contribution that they made.
Yeah.
Traore there never had experience, not coming even from the military, and it's brought about change that the country has never seen before.
Yeah.
So all these are issues that we need to talk about. But above all, what is very, very important is to have a vision and to be patriotic to the country. Some of the challenges that we are facing, we are going through today are because of lack of patriotism. And for me, that's what is very, very important.
Yeah.
And sometimes you see, me, I'm a strong Christian. I believe that God works out things in a different way that sometimes we may not understand. And God has never changed the country's destinies using elderly people, no.
Yeah.
He always looks at the young people because the young people are easy to work with. The young people are able to, easy to give the vision and run with it.
Yeah.
So this is what is very important for me.
Yeah.
It's not all about experience.
Okay.
Yes, some of us, I think, even the opportunities where I've gone, I never had experience, but I brought about much change in the companies where I worked for.
Yeah.
Some of them grew to become multinational companies because of the sacrifice and commitment that we provided.
Came from you.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So you and many Zambians have, lie on the side of agreeing that the UPND has fallen short of its promises when they were in opposition.
Exactly.
Are you able to maybe list some of their shortcomings over the 4 years and maybe even successes? And then you as the opposition, as DU,
yes,
what impact would you make as soon as you became president?
Thank you so much. First of all, I must say that the way we've structured our manifesto is in two parts.
Yeah.
There's what we are calling the emergence and resuscitation plan, where we've got 3 items under that plan which must be rolled out immediately we are given the opportunity. And the way we've structured our manifesto in the emergence and resuscitation plan is that we know the urgency of some of the interventions needed, because we know how the Zambians are suffering right now. We've co-opted in the men in uniform to help us fast track or hasten the process of rolling out these interventions, so that the Zambians can have the benefit within a shortest possible time. For us, we've given ourselves that within 100 days, we should be able to implement the emergency and resuscitation economic plan. So that's how we are going to manage our affairs when given the opportunity. Talking about UPND's performance, for me, first of all, I do recognize that there are few scores that are there. I know the challenges are many. First, I'll begin by pointing out the scores. If you talk about free education. For me, free education is a good thing, except that I think we rushed to roll out free education. I think it has created more chaos than good. Yeah, but it is a good thing, and I said to the president that I commend you for proposing to legislate free education. Then the other thing is that they had reduced cadarism. I'm sad that I'm talking about cadarism when now they want to bring back cadarism, and they are aware that the reason why PF was removed from power was because of cadarism. So they had tried to contain cadarism. I know it was there in small pockets, but it was contained looking at the levels at which it was during the time of PF. For me, that's a score. Then also when we talk about the increase in CDF, the increase in CDF is a good move, except that the country doesn't have resources like we've seen many areas where we're still owing our farmers, owing this and that. Those three areas, I think I do commend them. Then talking about the challenges, I don't want to point out many challenges, but just a few challenges. And the challenges that I'm going to point out are the ones which are basic, which affect everyone. Because if you talk about free education I think is not a benefit to everyone. Right now we've seen even teachers in government schools are taking away their children from government schools to private schools because they are aware that if we continue with on this trajectory, we are going to destroy our children. So I want to point out basic issues like the issue of the cost of living. The cost of living, I think it's quite unbearable for most of us. People are having challenges to put food on the table. And then we also talk about the issue of electricity. Electricity, I think it has been the biggest challenge that we have so far. At some point I said, please, we know you have acknowledged that you have failed in the energy sector. Can you take a step further and declare the energy crisis a national emergency so that we can have international and local stakeholders come to your aid? Yes, so I think that would be very important. Then also talk about the issues of high levels of unemployment. There's a lot of dissatisfaction, especially with the young people, to do with the opportunities. Not enough opportunities have been created for the young people, especially that Bali promised them that it's going to create massive employment opportunities. And you remember during the voting, others were putting on gowns, sending a message that once Bali is in power, employment opportunities will be there. And they're also talking about the issue of fuel, the exchange rate. So those are some of the issues that I want to point out that have affected our economy. Right now, liquidity, I think we are in a position where liquidity is quite so tight. We don't know exactly what's happening. That's why others are even missing the PF. So these are the basic issues where they have failed. And when we talk about governance also, it has been a huge struggle. We see still that persecution. We hoped, because UPND suffered a lot in opposition, this I must state and acknowledge. We hoped that based on that experience, they could have changed the platform for everyone to be able to change the political landscape so that people can see a different type of leadership. But it seems that bitterness is still there. We can see through Mingalatos, even just arrest of those who are perceived to be from the other camp, where we were even made to start comparing, where we see if there are any offenders aligned to UPND, they are not arrested. All those are issues that we can talk about. At some point, we had that UN rapporteur who came to assess the democratic space here. All those are issues that we want to talk about. The failure to bury our former president. So all those are issues that we want to point out, to leadership failure. So those are issues that I think I would want to talk about in terms of assessing the performance of UPND, the voter registration exercise. Others were blunt and they told us that we can't waste time to go and register. You politicians are liars. Others we managed to convince that, look at us, we are young, we are not coming here with lies. We are coming with a promise and to give you hope that there's still hope for this country. And those who have not been believing me that there's still hope for this country, look at the people that are coming in this country. If you look at the president of Israel, the prime minister of China, you look at the US trying to reverse their position, all these point out to something. But I don't want us to be asleep. We need to be awake to know why is it that these people are coming? What is it that they have seen in this country? All these are issues that we need to ask ourselves. But us as young people, we are committed to the country's development. And Yowela, for me, I want to leave a good legacy. I want to leave a legacy like the way KK left a legacy, Mandela and Nyerere. Those people who served the country selflessly. I don't want to be a person who was to be known that I was wealthy, I created a name for myself that I was this and that. I want to leave a good legacy of a leader. So you would declare your assets as required? Yes, definitely I would declare to say this is what I have. This is what I have. Yes, this is what I have. And of course, when we declare asset, you have to declare to say, I've got business opportunities which are running. They may grow. People of Zambia should understand you. But what I believe in is honesty. You shouldn't be, we all know what goes on in government. We know what opportunities come. You don't expect a president, when they assume the office, that they will remain at the same level. That's not possible. Let's be honest enough. Yes, I was, some time back, I was looking at President Obama. At the time he left the office, the children had private jets. But we are not saying that this is what we are after. But such things, there are opportunities that also come. What we have to do is that we have to put the country's interest first, not personal interest.
I'll ask you this. The opposition right now, it's fragmented. I mean, there's so many political parties, some are factions. Do you think that the opposition stands a chance to beat the UPND in the next general elections?
Yes, we do.
State that they are in.
We do stand a chance. Why do we stand a chance? The Zambians have decided that they don't want UPND.
Okay.
Yes, because they have decided that they don't want UPND, where the opposition still stands a chance. Part of the challenges that are happening in the opposition, for me, I'm just taking them as a part of the process of sieving to come up with a good leader. But one thing that you must be aware of, I think, is that once the citizens have resolved, they won't vote for UPN. They'll still vote for opposition. Even if we had the 3 candidate stands, the opposition still will get the larger part of the votes, which means UPND can't score 50+1. Maybe that's why there's that insistence to amend the constitution so that they could change some of the things. But otherwise, do not be worried. I think we still have a bit of time. And I know time is running out, but we still have a bit of time. We as opposition leaders are also working out something in the background that we may not...
Are you part of an alliance?
Well, for me, I want an alliance. I think that, first of all, when I want to enter into an alliance, we have to understand what the aspirations of those leaders who are entering into an alliance are.
And if they align with yours.
Yes, they align with ours. To see, we have to pick out traits such as patriotism, that you are really committed to the development of this country. But if I want to pick out that in the leader that we're going to choose, ultimately I would say, let me stand on my own. Because I don't want, first of all, like I've told you, that you have to trust me. I don't want to be part of a vehicle that will betray the Zambians or that will come and shift goalposts. No. We also have to be aligned in terms of our values, what we stand for. Us as Democratic Union, we stand on Christian democracy, which talks about justice, which talks about freedom and advocacy. When we talk about freedoms, we're talking about people should be free to assemble, freedom of religion, expression, all those. And when we talk about justice, we talk about equality of all men. Before all men are equal before God. So opportunities have to be available for everyone. We shouldn't be looking at Ackim because you come from the Eastern Province, you want to give opportunities to the people of Eastern Province. No. We are one Zambia, one nation. And when we talk about advocacy, we need to speak for the vulnerable in society. All these things have to be there in leaders. But what I want to see, what is more important for me, is the issue of patriotism.